Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Escape podcast, your Pro Wrestling Escape. If you are a fan of shocking entrances, goosebump moments, and career-launching chaos, you're in the right place. Today, we're counting down the top 5 WWE debuts of all time. These are the nights where someone walked through that curtain and instantly made wrestling just feel different and change the course. I've also got a few honorable mentions that just missed the list, but first, this day in WWE history. On this day in WWE history, August 11th, 2014, Sting technically made his first WWE appearance, not in the ring, but in a commercial. Some of you guys remember the promo for WWE 2K15, the video game package. But let's be real, that moment was huge. It was the first time fans saw Sting officially linked to WWE. And by Survivor Series that year, he'd walk into the arena and shut down the Authority in one of the best cliffhangers of that decade. It wasn't the most traditional debut, but it laid the groundwork for a long, well overdue WWE run. Now, the actual WWE run, had some injuries and a lot of us felt like it didn't fulfill it, but just the fact that we got to see Sting in WWE was awesome. All right, let's get down to the countdown. This is the top 5 debuts by Pro Wrestling Escape. You may agree, you may not. Let me know what you think. At number 5, we have Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho debuted on Raw August 9th, 1999. Peak Attitude Era. The countdown hit 0, the screen flashes, the place goes dark, and then break the walls down. Jericho walks out like he's been waiting his whole life for this moment, interrupting none other than The Rock mid-promo. He called himself the Ayatollah of rock and rolla and instantly gave off main event vibes. He didn't wait for approval. He demanded it. This wasn't just some warm-up debut match. This was a statement. And he backed it up, becoming one of the most decorated WWE stars ever. I have some stats for you. I'm going to read them off. 35 total championships, including 9 intercontinental titles, over 700 WWE matches, and the first ever undisputed champion beating The Rock and Stone Cold in one night. Sometimes we forget about that. Jericho's debut just was not flashy. It was the start of one of the most adaptable and creative careers in wrestling history. Next at number 4, the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Also made his debut on Raw March 8, 2002. He had no music, no hype video, no warning. During a random Raw match, I honestly cannot remember, this monster stormed the ring, clears house, and stands there breathing just like a beast that was let off a leash. This was the debut of Brock Lesnar, and immediately the vibe shifted. You could feel the audience go, who the hell is that? With Paul Heyman at his side, Brock just bulldozed through everyone. Within about 126 days, Brock Lesnar beat The Rock to become the youngest WWE champion at that time. I do have some stats for you. His stats are obviously insane, as we all know. 10-time WWE World Champion, 5 WrestleMania main events. We all know he crossed over to UFC and won the heavyweight title, and then came back to WWE like a final boss. His debut was raw, unpredictable, and unlike anything we had seen in years. And to this day, he is still making comebacks and making them just as incredible. At number 3, we have AJ Styles. Royal Rumble 2016. This one really hits home for a lot of fans, myself included. The 2016 Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns is in the ring. I think we all remember that shot of Roman Reigns just kind of, I think he's laying there, kind of catching his breath. The clock counts down. New music hits that most of us have never heard. And the screen flashes. I am phenomenal. Crowd goes nuts, including myself at home. Some people knew, some people didn't. But for fans who followed AJ Styles and TNA, Ring of Honor, and New Japan Pro Wrestling, it was very surreal. This is a guy who was once, he had once said, he once told the media that he'd never make it to WWE. And we all know in professional wrestling, you can never say never. And this is one of those examples. And now here he was walking down that ramp, ready to just prove everybody wrong. It wasn't just a cool debut. He had a run to match it. 3-time WWE champion, over 400 combined days with the title, and including matches with John Cena, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Seth Rollins. You name it. He was voted Pro Wrestling Illustrated Wrestler of the Year twice. This debut was a reminder that WWE doesn't always build stars. Sometimes they just finally let them through the door. And in this case, we are very, very glad we let him through the door. Now, that was 2016. Here it is 9 years later in 2025, depending on when you're watching this. The forbidden door is slowly becoming less forbidden as we're seeing more stars make appearances, such as TNA stars come into WWE. Not so much AEW, WWE, but sometimes some of the AEW talent is leaving, going to WWE, and vice versa. WWE talent going to AEW. Next up is number 2, and I was trying to be I know this is my list, so I can put whoever the hell I want, but I feel like this should have been number 1. But my number 2 is my favorite wrestler of all time, Kane. Everybody remembers his debut at Bad Blood. It was a Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and HBK Shawn Michaels in 1997. And this was the first ever Hell in a Cell match. The match was already chaotic, and then all of a sudden, lights go dark, turn kind of red, and then that pyro hits. Man, that's just music to my ears. And out walks this monster. Nobody knows who he is yet. Wearing a mask, absolutely massive and ripped, intimidating. Kane makes his way down the ramp and tears off the door of the cell. And at one point, Vince McMahon, who I honestly thought it was Jim Ross that said this famous tagline, "It's got to be Kane." That was Vince McMahon. And going back and hearing that, I still get chills seeing that moment. Kane gets into the ring. Him and Undertaker stare at each other. And then Kane tombstones The Undertaker. It's one of the greatest, I think, story payoffs ever. Paul Bearer had been teasing Kane for months. And then when he finally arrived, it felt like something out of a horror movie. A great horror movie, not one of those B-rated ones. But this just wasn't a debut. This was a reveal. This was the start of something special. And who is Kane? And the man behind the mask, Glenn Jacobs. He already had several gimmicks like Isaac Yankem, DDS, and then also Fake Diesel. But as Kane, listen to these stats. 23 championships in WWE, 1,700 matches, 44 Royal Rumble eliminations, and of course, WWE Hall of Famer back in the year 2021. His debut turned a career around for himself and gave us one of the most iconic characters in professional wrestling, not just WWE. Now, this is my number 1, and you have to let me know what you think. My number 1, this group made their debut at Survivor Series 20 Shield. Now, I know that can probably count separately, but they came together as a group, so it's 3 individuals. We all know them as Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns. Now, this happened in the middle of the triple threat match at Survivor Series 2012. CM Punk versus John Cena versus Ryback. The match is going on, and suddenly, all of a sudden, 3 guys in black tactical gear charge down. They pull Ryback out of the ring, triple powerbomb him through the announce table. At that moment, Shield had arrived. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. No intro, no backstory, just violence and purpose. Now, a lot of us may have recognized those 3 from NXT, and especially Seth Rollins winning the title over at NXT. But over the next year, the Shield became the most dominant faction, I think, since the Attitude Era. They didn't just win matches. They changed how trios worked in WWE at that time. Their resume is stacked. The combination of the 3, 16 world titles, all 3 became Grand Slam champions. And this is a really cool stat that I found. As a unit, they had a 72% win rate, 9 tag team titles between them. And just look where they're at now. Roman, arguably the face of the WWE. Rollins, could also be on that Mount Rushmore of current WWE wrestlers. He's a workhorse. And then you got, Dean Ambrose, who's now Jon Moxley, crushing it in AEW, megastar over there. I still want him to come back as Dean Ambrose, but we'll see. But just their debut just wasn't powerful. It launched 3 future legends all in one shot. I recommend going back and watching that because the crowd had no idea. I mean, the crowd was, I don't want to say dead. They were just like, okay, who the hell is this? I was one of those people. Not in the crowd, watching it at the pay-per-view. So that was my top 5. Let me know what you think. It's a pretty solid list now. I tried to keep it somewhat current. I know we could go back in time to maybe some others that could have been more powerful. But again, these are my top 5. Let me know what you think. Let me know your order. But I do have some honorable mentions. Maybe these honorable mentions made your top 5. We're going to hit a few more. John Cena, SmackDown 2002. We all remember that moment. Ruthless Aggression era kicked off. John Cena walks out to Kurt Angle into the ring and says the words Ruthless Aggression. And then continues to slap him. That slap, legendary. Obviously, we all know who John Cena is and what he ended up becoming. And, the year is 2025, and we are sad that he is on his retirement tour. Hopefully he pulls a Mark Henry and just comes back. Next honorable mention was Shinsuke Nakamura. Came over to NXT TakeOver pay-per-view in Dallas in 2016. We all know him from his electric entrance. He had an instant classic with Sami Zayn, and he showed the world that the strong style of his had arrived. Fast forward to 2025, really wish he was more visible. They gave him some more storylines, but right now WWE just has so much talent to the point where they're splitting pay-per-views into 2 nights. And I know there's a percentage of people saying still keep it 1 night, but we have to realize if we want all of our wrestlers to be on TV, the pay-per-views are going to be 5-6 hours long. And remember, SummerSlam a few years ago was about 4.5 hours. So I get the split between night 1 and night 2. If it means we get to see more of our wrestlers, that works for me. All right, another honorable mention. Again, this is top 5 debuts. This isn't top 5 careers, so don't roast me on this one. Ronda Rousey, Royal Rumble 2018. And remember, after the Women's Rumble had ended, her music hits, and suddenly WWE had that mainstream buzz all over again. They tend to do that. At the time, I loved it. I thought it was great for WWE, just kind of cross over to UFC, maybe get some of those fans. Her career was what it was. I'm not going to sit here and badmouth her. You got creative, doing some decisions that really didn't make sense. And Ronda on the mic, I think she needed more time to develop that. But again, a great debut. Last honorable mention that I have on my list is Kevin Owens, Raw 2015. I could probably slide him in somewhere in my top 5. I really, really thought about it and argue with myself, right? He debuts as the NXT champ. This is when Cena was doing that open challenge for the U.S. title. This is when KO came out. He had a match with John Cena, pins him clean in his very first match. Obviously, we all know KO, gone on to do great things, currently recovering from neck surgery. Can't wait to see him get back into the ring. And that's the countdown of the top 5 WWE debuts of all time, plus some pretty solid honorable mentions. Now, WWE is full of great moments, but a great debut, that's lightning in a bottle. Did I miss one of your favorites? Let me know on Instagram or TikTok at Pro Wrestling Escape. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe on YouTube. Leave a quick review on Spotify or Apple. And please, please, please share this with a fellow wrestling fan that is looking to escape from the ordinary or just needs a break. Until next time, thank you. This has been your Pro Wrestling Escape.